Well, hello friends. Today we're going to work a little bit on the terminal and we are going to do multi-line selection stuff. So we have this problem right now that if you select many lines like this, it'll get copied into the clipboard, but then if you paste this into a text document, then you see that it all ends up on one line. And that's obviously not what we want. And the reason that this happens is because when we copy from here, we just copy every one of these little characters here as a space, and we don't care that we run out of line. So what we got to do is, I'm thinking we would remember which of these cells have had anything in them, and then if we try to copy a cell that has nothing in it, we will just stop processing that line and emit a new line instead. Something like that. So let's try that out. That would be in terminal CPP or in terminal.h. So every one of these lines in the terminal is represented by a terminal line object. It's what's it called? A nested class, a nested struct actually, of the terminal class. It's kind of an ugly looking class now that I look at it. But anyway, and he has the characters. It's like one per column, and also the attributes, which is one per column. So these are just two arrays here. So yeah, so these are array of characters and array of attributes, and I'm thinking that we would do something like having an attribute bit that means untouched or something like that. Maybe untouched, something like that. And reset is no attributes. And then we could actually reset to touched, which is the same sort of as no attributes. I guess this is alright. It's a little bit weird, but let's roll with it and see how it works out. Okay. So basically, we want to clear this flag whenever... I guess it would make more sense if we had a touched flag, actually. Untouched is really awkward, so we could do touched, and then whenever we put something into a cell, we will say that it's been touched. That makes a lot more sense. Okay. Then we have something, character at, put character at, yeah. So this is the function in the terminal that writes into a character cell. Of course, there are a couple of other places where we do this. So well, we do like these irritating things like clear. Well, we're gonna have to take care of all of these, but okay, whatever. We'll just we'll work through this. So. Current attribute. The current attribute. So the kernel, not the kernel. The terminal keeps track of the current attribute, which is it's like whether or not you're currently inserting like bold, italic, underline, which color you're currently inserting, stuff like that. That's the current attribute. And any new character that you output uses the current attribute. So the current attribute should absolutely never be not touched. So basically he should always have the touched flag set. So here is where we should maybe look at where we reset this guy actually. Current attribute, reset. so let's say that when we use this, we will say and attribute touched. Okay, well, see, this is something that I always kind of not sure that I like about C++. Just let me do this. Just let me do it. Just let me do it. Okay, now I started complaining prematurely because mCurrent attribute is a freaking class. Okay, I thought I was having the, like, it's not gonna let you OR together an enum and an integer. But then I was whining prematurely because this is an object and an enum. Okay, so forgive me. Then should we do something like dot flags attribute touched? Okay, fine. Terminal sudo sync and run. Okay. Okay, now we just have to actually check for this attribute somewhere. Oops. So that would be when we selected text. That's where we compute whatever the text is that you've selected. If you watched the video on terminal text selection, then you recognize this code. So here we just compute the last column of the row is only based on the selection. So here we iterate through the rows. We did through the rows and then through the columns as well. But I think here we can look at, we can say like line is line row, and that will give us the line. And then we can say if line attributes column is not touched, or that flags or is untouched, let's say. Then let's builder append a new line and break. Attribute. Where are you, attribute? Here you are. Bool is untouched. Const return flags and flags touched. Like that is fine. Oh, I forgot to compile a bunch of stuff. Okay, so let's see how this turns out. That's a lot nicer. I think that's a bit nicer. But then what happens if someone is at the end of the line like this? Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Yeah, so then we don't actually emit a new line for him. So I think if we manage to get all the way to the right edge, then we should also do a new line. So we can say like if first column, no, hold on. If column is line dot, right. That's how we know how long. I hate this line class. It's so ugly, but I'm not going to fix it right now, but it is gross. If column is line length -1, then we will also emit a new line. Okay. Let's make it a little bit, it's too small. Okay, now we select some text. Paste, and look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? All right, I think this logic is pretty decent. There's probably a lot of smarter things you can do, like to detect if you know, if you keep typing and you go past the end of the line, then we could keep track of that somehow and make this not insert a new line here or whatever. I don't know. We'll have to discover things like that as we grow more mature. But right now, I think this is good enough for today. So let's do a patch review and see what we have here. Oh, look at that. And little stupid white space change. Why exactly? Has selection. Oh, it had one too many spaces before. Oh, that's stupid. Well, I don't want to patch that. Even though it... So, like, here's how you can tell if you... Actually, I don't know what this tells about you, but it does say something that I refuse to change this now because it would, like, murk up my beautiful patch. So, I think that's supposed to say something about me somehow, but I'm unsure what I was getting at. So, let's get back to the code. Okay, so whenever we are putting a character in a character cell, then we also set the touched flag and the attribute slot for that character. And then when we iterate through the terminal buffer in selected text to compute whatever we want to put on the clipboard, then we now look at the attributes as we go, and if we encounter an untouched attribute, then we just emit a new line. And actually, this makes me curious if we do the right thing for selecting like empty, never touched space. Yeah, just a bunch of new lines. That's perfect. Okay. Right, so if it's never been touched, then we new line and stop iterating over this row. And it's kind of stupid that we're mixing like row and line. Who wrote this code? Jeez. Anyway. Okay, so then if it was touched, then we emit the character. And then if we're at the very end of the line, then we also emit a new line, because otherwise that's not going to happen. Cool. And then just adding the touched attribute here to the attribute class, just a touch flag, and an is untouched helper. Cool. Let's commit. Let's say terminal track which character cells have been touched. That have had something printed in them. Like that, maybe. Yeah. This allows helps us figure out where lines end, which we need when computing the selected text for copy to clipboard. Cool. All right, let's see that one more time. I thought this would be harder. I don't know why. Let's do B message. And we will just copy all of it and paste it in here. And look at that. And see that there we have that that line break thing that I don't want, but that's a harder one to fix. I don't know how to do that exactly or how that should work. So we're not going to worry about that today. But now you can at least copy paste, and they end up with new lines on the end. And there, I accidentally clicked up another text editor. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, so I think I'm gonna end it here. So if you made it this far, then I thank you for watching and for coming back and hanging out with me while I continue to work on this crazy project. So I'll see you next time.